officially a standing O. Gerry, just wait there a second. I'm going to say some nice things about you, and then we'll bring you up. But there are hundreds of words that can used to be to describe the word leader. The common ones include vision, inspiration, passion, communication, and integrity, among others. And certainly Gerry has all those attributes and more. What sets Gerry apart as a leader is how he measures his success. He puts the success of those around him first, knowing that his own interests are best served supporting others. Rather than a company with a single influential person, Gerry has built a company of leaders. His definition of success in life is to have partners, friends, and associates who are better off for having worked with him. Gerry has a deep-seated belief that a company's success is built on each individual's employees needs to be supported, encouraged, and to achieve their personal goals. And that defines Gerry LoDuca at his core. Gerry comes from entrepreneurial roots. He learned the important lessons from his father, who ran a printing and engraving business in New York. And he's based his business life on these core beliefs: building trust, maintaining relationships, and supplying, of course, quality products. Gerry's first job was selling calculators in New York City. Probably a pretty tough job that made the switch to healthcare a really good idea at the time. He went on to invest in Medical Action, seeing the company through his IPO as VP of Product Development. And in 1991, he saw an opportunity and set out on his own entrepreneurial journey. For the past 26 years, Gerry's built Dukal Corporation on the foundation of his integrity, energy, and business acumen. These attributes build the trust with employees, partners, and manufacturers required for long-term, sustained growth. As with any entrepreneurial company, Dukal is a direct reflection of his leader. Gerry graduated with a degree in marketing and management from St. John's University, where he remains a very active alumni. He mentors future generations of business leaders through their business plan competition and has hosted numerous sessions in their Executive in Residence program. He serves on the HIDA Educational Foundation Board of Directors. He's on ROI's Vendor Advisory Council, and recently served as president of the Healthcare Manufacturing Management Council, HMMC. He and his wife Donna are committed supporters of the Anchor Program Fund, which operates important services for special needs adults and children, including a 6-week summer camp. We all know Gerry well, but when you get to know him, you understand he has a vast reserve of just pure energy. He takes on business and life in the same way, to the max. In addition to descriptions like entrepreneur and leader, you can add boater, guitarist, chef, fisherman, world traveler, family man, and friend. I'm convinced he somehow squeezes 26 hours out of each day. Please join me in honoring Gerry LoDuca as the recipient of the 2018 Sasen.
I think years ago, Sally Field was up for the similar position, and she said, "They like me, they really like me." Anyway. It's a very special night, a little overwhelmed with the response and the friends that we have in this building. First and foremost, I'd like to thank HIDA, Matt, Elizabeth, Linda, the entire HIDA team, and the HIDA board. You guys do an absolutely wonderful job. The work that you do in the industry to bring together the healthcare side of distribution and manufacturing is such a valuable need for what we do. We do this with a lot of care and dedication, and all the work that you do is very appreciated. Matt, this is a little overwhelming. So is this a little like a hole in one? Do I have to buy everybody a drink at the bar? Okay. So before I get into too much, I'm blessed that I've got some family members that are here. My niece Tracy and Sean have been able to join us, flew from Connecticut. Some of you may remember Sean. I think it was 5 years ago that Sean was the keynote speaker. And before he spoke, he had a very, very resounding entry with "We Are the Champions in Sports." So That's 5 years ago already, and time's gone very, very quickly. We also have Travis. Travis is my nephew. Travis also has worked with Dukal for 18 years. Gentleman that started in the warehouse and is continuing to grow and see responsibilities and take more on. Today he does our director of logistics. Does a great job. So, a lot of what we do today, I guess, is partnerships and programs. I assume, Matt, that as a result of this award, we'll just renew the program for another couple of years. We do. Right. But I'm very honored in terms of being selected for the John Sasen Award and to really join an esteemed list of individuals that have done this before. So Andrea, Mark, Yates, Brad, and of course John's legacy, to be in the same group of those individuals and so impactful to our industry is quite an honor. I've been in the industry for 41 years, and I guess the recognition that I have tonight is certainly proof that if you hang around long enough, eventually you do get an award. And I guess a number of folks called me. I was pretty overwhelmed with the amount of calls and emails that I got. And many of the folks really knew John Sasen very well. I had certain business relationships with him. I respected him. He was nice. He was fair. But those said that, I got traits that were similar to John. And he said that he had a good sense of humor. So for me, that was a sense of humor that's opening the door for me. And I learned a little bit about not just medical products, but also about, curing a cough. And I learned a long time ago that if you have a cough, what you want to do if you want to stop it, is you take a laxative, because then you're afraid to cough. The other part, I guess, is don't take yourself too seriously, which is another story about So, I never taken myself too seriously. I love silly things. And at one point, we came out with medical tapes, and I took a few inches of the tapes, and I put them on both my ears, and I walked around the office kind of doing like this. Everybody looked at me like I was out of my mind. And they said, "What are you doing?" And I said proudly, "I'm listening to tapes." So, I tend to laugh at myself. John also was a strong leader of people. He empowered his managers. He knew his industry very, very well. And he really maintained relationships. I'm proud to say that many folks in here have grown up with you. We've got long-term relationships. They've gone into friendships that are lifelong, and very grateful for that. John was a salesman. And my dad, who was also a salesman while he was involved in the printing business, he said to me a long time ago, "Just treat people like you would like to be treated, and everything else comes naturally." So his influence, along with the years that I spent at McDonald's, saying, "Hello, can I take your order?" and flipping hamburgers, has pretty much a lot to do with who I am as an individual today. Those are the traits that I'm very proud to have, and some of I do share with John. I've been overwhelmed with the outpouring of emails and calls that I received after the announcement, and I really get up every day going to work thinking, just let me do a good job and make some good decisions. So this has been quite humbling for me to be here. Tonight is a very, very special night in so many ways. And it's a little bit of a rehab. But over the years, certain things that I've missed, basically, because of work and other things. I missed my 8th grade graduation. I got hit by a car that summer. I was in the hospital, and I never made 8th grade, and I missed the graduation. So that was the first thing I missed. Then I got into high school, and I missed my high school graduation. And again, I was working at McDonald's, and I was selected to be the McDonald's French Fry All-American. I was up in Boston. You laugh. You think that's easy? Anyway, I had a paper hat. I had a white shirt, a blue collar with little arches over here. I made $1.85 an hour, and I made it all the way up to Boston on the French Fry McDonald's. So I came in second. I didn't win a $100 bond. I was 2 fries short of one of the big guys. I knew it too. And then I was thinking, and I had a bet with Ella Mary that our daughter Amy, which is why my wife Donna is not here, and son Andrew, but our daughter Amy, we're expecting our first granddaughter. Yesterday was her due date. So we didn't miss it. Mom is there on baby watch. Hopefully by the end of the week we'll be here. So back in the 70s, as Matt said, I was selling calculators. I moved into healthcare and worked as a distributor, as many of you did here. It was a great experience for me. I got exposed to all different products, different markets, different customers. It was a great meeting. And I did meet Joe. Joe had just started medical action. He was a very engaging individual. And literally, Donna and I had just gotten married. About a month later, we had opened up our wedding checks. And on a handshake, I went to work with Joe. We loaned him, invested the money that we got for the wedding. So my wife, Donna, has always been very trusting, very believable. In terms of the things I wanted to do, she's always given me some opportunity to do it, to live out the dreams I have. When I went to work at Medical Action, we were tiny. It was 3 of us. One was driving a truck. It was Paul. 30 years later, he became the president. But we started our business pretty much from our secretary's den. It was a converted garage. It was just a couple $100,000 in sales. I stayed 11 years. We brought that company public. We got it up to $25 million. We made a national brand on that. The monies that I had from that I used in 1991 to start Dukal. And again, I had this affinity for not the garage, but basically the basement of our house. And it really wasn't easy to convince Donna that she needed to go back to work. Our son Andrew was just born. She was dreaming of staying home with Andrew and her daughter Amy for a couple of times and months. And I said, you really have to go back to work. And she looked at me and she kind of said, why? And I used a logical explanation. I said, well, if you don't go back to work, we can always buy ourselves a mirror and watch ourselves starve to death. So Donna did go back to work, but it was only a couple of weeks after that she took away my ATM card. So it's been 27 years, I still don't have an ATM card for my family. I have no access to any of our personal accounts. Right? And if I tell her I need money, she leaves me $20. And I think with inflation, it'd be up to 30 or 40 now, but it's 20. And she actually has the office next to Emily, who's our controller of the office, and they're in cahoots because I don't have the key to the company's petty cash. And if I do borrow money, she says, how many 20s do you need? And I have to read a check and promise to bring in the receipts all the time. So I decided that, as we started to work, down on some of the history that we have, literally it was before email, the way to communicate overseas. I had been to China before that, I had relationships. I felt that there was a need in the marketplace to come out with a evaluated product that could compete against the national brand, save the end users some money, come up with some initial distribution profits for them. And we started literally emailing overseas, bringing a container. Donna would go to work, come back, do the homework with Amy, get the kids to bed, we'd go down the basement, she would do billing. I would write up the orders or the faxes, whatever I had to do, we'd send them overseas. There were hundreds of nights that was 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock in the morning. The commitment, the personal sacrifice that my family did for me was unbelievable. So little by little, we got everything going. Donna was able to work for about 3 years. At that point, we could take a little bit of salaries, and Donna could stay home, and we started to continue to build the business. We were able to hire good people, we started to build it. Today, after 27 years, Donna is at the office. She's our Vice President of Human Resources. And the way that I got even with her over this ATM card is that in addition to human resources, she's in charge of our rebates and all of our chargeback. I got two great kids. They're both very different, very unique, but Amy and Andrew. And Amy had graduated Syracuse. She's been with us now about a year and a half, but she worked for 11 years in New York City as a creative design artist with a number of large advertising branding companies, and she joined our company about a year and a half ago as a creative director. So it's nice to have a family on board in addition to Donna. As we started the business, the reality is you missed a lot of things. Work came first, travel came first. I missed a lot of baseball games, I missed a lot of weekends, the family vacations always were compromised, different parades, things like that. So it's hard to do everything well, and I hope that the quality time that I did have with my family, even though it was compromised at times, was more important, and they're happy, good people today. Part of the industry in the early days, I had to do a lot of the trips overseas myself. So I've been to China over 80 times. Back then, those trips were 2 weeks, 3 weeks at times. They're shorter today because we're fortunate that we have an office there to do a lot of the work. But you start to add up the trips that I've had, whether in Europe or domestically. I've been away in the last 27 years, probably for 2.5 years. So it's a long time, a lot of sacrifice for a family. So today it's not about me, but it's about the family and the commitment that it took to allow me to do this and go ahead. Also, you think of a business that starts, and back then, certainly nobody ever wanted to loan money. Banks always said no problem, but they wanted 3 years in business. And we started with one supplier, and they had come to visit us. When they were sitting in our house and talking, she said, I need you to buy more product. I said, I'd love to buy more product, but I went through all the dollars I have, and I have to write letters of credit, and you just couldn't finance the whole thing. And I said, I need you to give me credit. And she said, I work for a government company. All the factories are government owned. That's impossible. We will not do that. So we went back and forth and back and forth. And all this while, my daughter Amy, with a little smile, was probably 6 years old, sitting on Matt and Me's lap. And at the end, I finally said, if you're at my home, you're with my family, you see my daughter, we're good people, could you please give me credit? And she said yes. So from nothing with the banks, I got over $100,000 credit from a supplier from the other side of the world. So I have a soft spot in my heart for what we've accomplished overseas. Some of them are still our friends, our customers, the vendors that we've got. And you look at the company's transition in terms of our growth. We started with basically one product. Today we've got 3,000. The first shipment that I had was 2,500 cases. Today we sell 275,000 cases a month. That first container I had took 3 months to sell. So So we've seen a lot going on. It's really been one hell of a journey. I always believe that if you run a good business, the profit will take care of itself. And obviously, all the decisions you make are not always right. And Rick, our CFO, is here. I've had to rethink that every now and then, because not every decision you make is always one that works out. But the real focus, I think, in terms of what we try to do in the company is focus on what is important and really what works for us. Being humble is also another important trait. And as much as you'd like to think that work and what you accomplish is all about you, it really isn't. As Matt had said, I did graduate from St. John's University. We've been involved with that school for a long, long time. And I do have an opportunity once or twice a year to go back to the university. And my favorite professor is still working after 50 years. Still a funny, humorous guy. And I go in there and I put some classes together, and I get a chance to talk to young students about being an entrepreneur, working for private companies, working for public companies, what life would be like. But when I'm there, I get introduced by my professor as the most successful C+ student that he's ever had. So that's my lesson. It happens often in humility. Right? At this point, it's also very appropriate to thank my team at Dukal. Without the management team, without everybody with our organization, the company would not be what it is today. I've had the blessings and the luck to be able to be at the helm of this and to really put the teams together and help with the strategies and where we're going to go. But without everyone working at Dukal, I would not be getting this award. So Rick is here, our CFO, Ella Mary, our Chief Strategy Officer, John, who's our Vice President of Operations, Heather runs Channel Management, Vice President of Marketing, Chris, Vice President of Sales, Travis, Director of Operations, and Pat. And Pat has been with us since day one, and I knew Pat about 15 years before we started Dukal. And we've shared a good friendship, and good trust in each other. We've done some real good work. Pat at one point committed to move overseas, and we had an apartment there, and Pat was over in Asia setting up our operations and doing the regulatory work for some very large customers for over 9 months, and probably did that for 4 or 5 years back. So again, thank you. So I don't have to make the trips that I did before. In addition to the team that's here, we have an office overseas. We've got 19 people that work for us in Shanghai and Asia. They're wonderful, hardworking, dedicated people. They drink the Kool-Aid, as Ella Mary had said, and they're very, very good, dedicated, long-term employees. So I'm very grateful to have a staff that is so strong. Ross is here. Ross is from the UK. He manages our advanced wound care program, and Ross flew over today just for this dinner, right? He came. So I was always raised with the understanding that the mark of a true individual is not what you make, but rather in the lives that you touch. So it's nice to receive a card 25 years later from a sales rep that you worked with at another company. And he thanks me for his influence that I've had on his life. And another situation is from a customer that starting a business, needed an opportunity for products, and you give them credit. I've learned a long time ago that the pendulum goes back and forth, and everybody needs to help each other. But it's nice to hear that we're able to help people, influence people, and that they wouldn't be where they are without our influence, help, and support. So I always believe, too, that good people help others, and in return, they get help, too. So in this crazy, fast-paced world, we have to work extra hard to keep our value proposition relevant, and also our business is growing. This week, we have to figure out what to do with trackers. So another milestone problem that we have in the industry, but together we will figure it out. So during these times, we have to maintain our values, we have to maintain the integrity, and we have to always fundamentally do the right thing. And just remember that family, friends, kids always come first. So tonight, if I can leave you all with just one memory for the evening, it's to make a difference and to touch as many lives as you can. And all of my friends here, all of the people that I truly care for and love, I want to thank you all, and you're all proof of that. So again, thank you. Thank you again. So, Matt, can I trade this for the guitar?
Well, all I can say is wow. You've known Gerry a long time, I've known Mark a long time, but to have, two leaders of the industry start in their homes, in their basement, in their garage, and reach the level of success is just That's what I love about this industry, is all the stories and all the personal stories that I think are replicated throughout the room. So congratulations again, Gerry. That concludes our program tonight. We're going to open up the gaming tables in the back, dessert and coffees in the back of the room, and let's continue and have a wonderful evening. Thank you all.